Mrs. Nelson's. There's.
I made this with my cricket.
You did?
Did you really?
You did? Oh, great. Wow,
That's impressive.
That's fantastic. One for all of us, please. No, sorry.
Are you taking orders?
Yeah. All right, here we go. Good evening. I'd like to call to order this regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Education for Thornapple Kellogg Schools. Today is November 10th, 2025. We are in the Early Childhood Center, the boardroom. Brenda, can please have a roll call of the board.
Stanton? Price?
Here.
Hilton? Winger?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
Hess here, and Brock.
Here. Thank you. Pledge of allegiance, please. Flag is in the back. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Board. On to the adoption of the agenda. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll support. So we have a motion by Mr. Smith and support by Brock. I forget, this is a roll call vote, correct? Nope. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? All right. Thank you, board. On to public input. Is there any members of the public that are in attendance that would like to speak? Are there any members of the public that would like to speak? Okay, we do have a second, public comment section at the end of the meeting if you'd like to do it at that time. Next item on the agenda, committee and liaison reporting. Mr. Pausch, do we have anyone meet, do you know? No?
Not as far as board-appointed committees. We did not have any meetings. I'm not sure on any additional meetings you all may have attended.
Mark, any TAPers?
Yeah, so
Sorry, can you turn your mic, please? Thanks, man.
a few days after the last meeting, we had a TAPRC meeting to basically discuss the five-year plan. It is published somewhere. I think there was notices that went out to do a 30-day review. We do have to essentially approve our portion or approve it on our end so it can move forward to the next step, which is basically submitting it to the DNR as an official five-year plan. That'll help all the entities involved acquire grants. So it's important that we get it in there. And I don't have the deadline in front of me. I think it's February, but it has to be submitted by that deadline. So I think that'll be on the next agenda. Next
Great.
month.
Great. Thank you, Mark. If there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and move on to consent grouping. This is the next item on the agenda. Looking for a motion to approve the consent grouping items, or if someone would like to pull one out, we could do that as well.
A motion to approve the items of the consent grouping 3A through 3C.
I second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Winger and support by Ms. Hess. Any discussion on the motion? All right, that's a roll call, correct?
Brock?
Yes?
Hess, yes. Smith?
Yes.
Winger?
Yes.
Price?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Board items for information and discussion. The FFA barn change order. Mr. Pouch, is this you?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. I will buy a second here while we are passing around just a visual of information that has been given to you previously, but if you're like me, it's still sometimes nice to have paper copies in front of us. So if you recall, at the August 11th Board of Education meeting, the board engaged in a discussion regarding the next steps for our FFA barn project after it was discovered that the district did not have the licensed drawings that we needed to move forward and obtain the permits. At that time, the board directed administration to move forward with the construction of a cold barn storage, as that was believed to be reflective of the original scope of work. Since then, Administration has provided regular updates to the board, including the decision to bring on Performance Services to serve as the engineer and project manager. Included in your packet and what I just passed around, again, you've seen it a couple times now, included this evening are 2 items previously shared. The first is the detailed scope of work that's been floating around for a couple months now and in a few different updates that we have shared. I'm not going to go through it in depth unless a board member asks me to, but it lays out what is included in this project and what could be included in future projects of this barn, reminding you anything we do right now has to be part of the bid process. On the back, you will see what we shared last week that was hot off the press is the proposed budget based on all the information that we have right now. So that's the 2 documents that I passed around. And you'll see with that a couple different things on that document. It shows at the top in yellow, I tried to make it user-friendly, the amounts that the Board of Education previously approved. The $124,000 was for what we'll say is the shell of the barn. There was an additional almost $26,000 that was referred to as the FFA barn ROM estimate. In pulling all the documents from what came at that meeting on December 9th of 2024, I'm going to say that's not tangible. We're not sure what that $26,000 actually is. It doesn't point out specifically what that $26,000 goes to, and regardless, it should have went to bid as part of this project. So the board did approve that amount, but not necessarily what it was for. So the second proposed sheet here, the budget, is the summary showing the original approved components along with the additional costs. The project, as it rests right now, we have an estimated $356,306 with a $20,000 contingency. That this, in the grand scheme of school construction, is a pretty simple project. Hopefully we recapture that 6%. So with that, administration is requesting board discussion and direction on how to proceed. From my perspective, the board has 2 primary options moving forward that we need direction on. One is to move forward in December with a resolution authorizing expenditures up to the $306,000, $306,000, which would include proceeding with the electrical bid. So that includes, you can see roughly they have penciled in $50,000 for an electrical bid. So that would allow the board to pass a resolution to move forward with spending up to that amount, and then we would also bring the bids hopefully at that time as well. The second option, if you feel as a board after your discussion there are still gaps and holes or things you want administration to consider, would be to refer the project to the construction committee, where the board could seek us to dig deeper with specific questions or additional options, add-ons, change the scope of work, whatever it might be. Keeping in mind any changes that we make, any additions that we does have to be included in the bid process. So with that, I will turn it back over to the board, and administration is happy to answer any questions, and we look forward to guidance from the board on the next steps.
So Rob, the total, project cost $356,306, that would be all coming from the school directly, is that correct? Yep.
I will defer to Mark. He can clean up my misinformation here that I'm not well-versed on, but I know about $50,000 we got from a grant
Yeah,
and some donating.
additional grants that totaled, I think there was 2 that was roughly 50,000. One was
Gotcha.
49 and something. So, sorry, let me talk into the mic. So yeah, no, there was 2 grants. One was a state grant, and then also another one. But in total, we had roughly 100,000, I believe, and the rest of that would have then come from the district, which we have set aside in our capital improvement fund to help fund that, so it would not touch our general fund.
So the total cost of $356, it'd be subtract the 100,000 that we've already received?
Correct.
And then I know as a part of this, there was a big effort from the FFA group to help gather funds to help pay for this as well. Does that account for any of this? Or is that what those funds were specific for? And maybe Tyler, you can help with that if you know directly?
I don't know where they were allocated or placed within this budget that's presented right now,
Gotcha.
but I do know it was upwards of $100,000 that was available through funding from the community.
Yep, and I do recall at the December 2024 meeting, I think one of Craig's last meetings, they made a presentation and they were looking to get additional grants or what have you from the community or maybe through the state. I haven't seen much more, though, that has come through to the district, other than that 100 that we did receive at this time.
Sure. So if my math is correct here, we're looking at 156 roughly of additional funds, or it'd be of the total budget of 356, $100,000 roughly from a grant, another $100,000 possibly with community donations. That leaves us a balance of 156, but the board's already approved roughly 150 in funds, is that correct? The 124 plus the 25?
Yes, that is correct, but I would also just want to be transparent with the board that based on the last information we have, there was a $50,000 community donation and then the grant money of $48,000. So
It might be 100 total.
100 total. So I would say right now, based on the revenues that have come into our accounts, we would just subtract 100 from the 356, hopefully 336, because we don't spend that contingency. And I would say, we'll go with the higher number though, that for right now, the board would be approving in December for administration to move forward. Subtract the 100. I think for cleanliness purposes, I would just do a whole new resolution because it's all lumped together anyways, and we're not really sure what that $25,000 was for. It's not tangible. So I would recommend we'll come with the resolution for the full cost, but subtract $100,000, which puts us at 256, that right now I would say the board is liable to pay right now, pending any other future donations that may come in. They may have collected additional monies, and that just hasn't been deposited, and they know the project was on hold until we got to this point where we could earmark the next step.
I have a question, so I see that coming up, we're gonna need a door, like a overhead door. We can't just have like a family or a business donate that, it has to be part of the bid, or can somebody swoop in and say, hey, my cousin's nephew has an overhead door company, we would like to donate that, can we do that, or no, that has to be part of the bid?
So we spent a great amount of time with Truon on this, and if the project is over the bid threshold, which is $30-some thousand right now, it all has to be bid out. That doesn't stop that family from potentially bidding on it, but there's certain requirements with the bid that is a cost to them. So we have to be stewards of transparency and openness. However, that approach could happen in the future down the road when the time came that we looked at a scope 2 or a scope 3 of this project. So right now, it appears as I inherited this project, they're thankful to our FFA team, from the alumni to the staff to the current students and the administration here. There was a great deal of work that went on to get this going, and unfortunately, some things behind the scenes we had to play catch up on. But I'm hearing there may be chances for donations in the future, but we just have to be very clear that right now we can't include that in this scope of work because it would have to be part of the bid.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's great.
I just want to say thank you to you and your team to make sure that we're checking the boxes all the ways down through. I don't want the optics to be that you guys are slowing or stalling the process. I want people to be cognizant of the fact that you're trying to make sure that we're not going to have issues coming down the line. So thank you very much for picking up where you had no idea where we started. So that's a huge deal. Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, is there any other questions from the board? So, from my perspective, we're asking potentially come to the board with possibly 100,000 more of funds. Again, we would do a new resolution, but we've already approved roughly 150, so about 100,000 more commitment from the board.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. I think I would like to see the resolution and have maybe some more direction and items going forward. How does the other board members feel?
Although it does look to me like it's 200 more than the 150 to get to 350.
Yeah, I was subtracting possible the donation of the 100, of the 50 and such. But again, I think those are more details. I think we can dive into it a little bit more. And when we did have the groundbreaking ceremony, I talked to Miss Lanny Forbes, who was a great steward to help us with this project. And there's definitely a lot of community support behind it, but also, we also know there'll be reoccurring costs for the projects that will be out there and the stuff to support the FFA program. So I'm sure where there's a need, I'm pretty sure this community can band together and fill it for sure. So, did that give you everything you need, Mr. Pouch?
Yes, thank you. We look forward to having a resolution at the December board meeting, and we hopefully get that electrical bid up and running. Mark, not to put you on the spot, but the other Mark wanted to know the platform we're going to post it on. So could you share with Mark what platform it'll be on?
Yeah, it's called Sigma Procurement. It's through the Michigan, yep. So, and that's same as action letter A regarding the water filtration bid, same website. That's where all procurements are done for RFPs.
So if all goes well, you can tell your colleagues that you know. We look forward to getting their bids for the electrical bid. Hopefully that'll be up by the end of the week.
Fantastic. I think that concludes that item.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Pouch? All right. On to our next item, policy 2266, compliance officer change.
Thank you, Mr. President. So policy 0131 that was recently adopted, bylaws and policies, allows the superintendent to make technical corrections to board policies, including updating named individuals when roles or assignments change. The policy also requires a superintendent to notify the board of such corrections and provides any board member the option to request that the change go through the full two-reading process. As previously communicated, administration recommended and made a technical correction to policy 2266, non-discrimination and access to equal educational opportunity, by updated the listed compliance officers. The previous policy of 2266 named the middle school principal and high school principal, not by name, by position, as the compliance officers. The corrected version that we're recommending lists the human resource director and curriculum director, both central office cabinet positions that are most appropriate to serve in this capacity. Truen recommends a male and a female to properly address issues that may come up. So given our current structure, we have a male and a female in those positions. Therefore, building administrators continue to serve as investigators. There's multiple people in this process, with the superintendent ultimately being responsible for the policy implementation. All individuals identified in these roles have completed the required Title IX training by Truen Law Firm. For clarification, this technical correction does not impact policy 5517, which designates the assistant superintendent as the compliance officer for that harassment policy. These policies serve different purposes and the roles are intentionally different. Administration has confirmed with Neola that this does constitute a clerical or technical correction. However, the board retains full authority to request two readings on this if they wish. So with that, administration is looking forward to direction and discussion on the board, whether or not the board wants to move forward with the technical correction that has previously been shared and is also in the board packet, or if the board would like to move forward with two readings on this change.
Well, my preference would be to allow the superintendent to update the names as a technical correction.
Yeah, me too, if it's not changing any content and it's just names or positions, that's
I agree.
acceptable.
I would agree.
I would agree. To me, it looks like a technical correction.
I didn't try to interrupt you, Brenda.
I think we see it as a technical correction.
Thank you. With that, we will make those changes and share them with the board.
All right. Thank you. Our last item for board items for information discussion, 31AA legislative language.
Okay, this one gets a little complicated, a little political, but we're going to try to stay out of those weeds and keep it at the factual level of what we know. So this is not a new grant. This has been around as a categorical grant for several years now, since the post-COVID era, I believe. So as part of opting into this 31 categorical grant, which provides funding for mental health services and school safety initiatives, districts must agree to several statutory requirements. These include being subject to a comprehensive investigation, and this is language directly from the opt-in form, which is pulled from the legislation, in the event of a mass casualty incident, waiving any privilege that would otherwise protect information from disclosure, and fully cooperating with all investigation processes. These requirements were enacted in response to the tragic events that happened at Oxford High School. And they represent a significant legislative priority to those individuals that were directly impacted by that tragedy at Oxford High School. Thornapple Kellogg Schools currently receives between $440,000 and $460,000 of this grant. It's based on a per pupil, how many people apply, could be more, but shouldn't be less. These funds directly support student mental health, school safety measures, and critical personnel and other programming. So administration is seeking guidance on whether the board wants to move forward with opting into these funds for this school year. This is an opt-in every year. It's one-time funding, as all of our categoricals are. You never know what we're going to get the next year. And the deadline to opt in is November 3rd. So we need to make that decision by then. We've never had a formal resolution. November 30th, sorry, did I miss? 30th, sorry. November 30th, 3-0, sorry. We've never had formal resolutions before for categoricals like this that I'm aware of, but different legal firms have gotten their hands on this and they have given different guidance and whatnot. And again, we'll stay out of that part of it. So November 30th, we have to opt in. So if the board chooses not to opt in, administration would request a personnel committee meeting with our personnel committee to review the different staffing components, which is another shared document in there, as we would have to absorb this money pretty quickly because we've actually already spent some of it. So you'll see in your board packet, there is about $1.5 million that we can choose from, but that would be something I would want to include the personnel committee on. So we would have to act on that pretty promptly. So again, I'm happy to answer questions. I would encourage us to stay out of the politicalness, if that's a word or not, I'm not sure. But the political road this has gone down, I just read to you what the actual language reads. And I made the connection of where this stems from. Since then, it's gone down a lot of different roads to attorney-client privilege, to is it a bus accident, a lot of different things. We know what the intent of this was, and we know it's dear to those hearts on the other side of the state, and rightfully so in that situation. So with that, we're looking for guidance and direction on how we want to proceed with this.
Thank you, Rob. Board, there's some information there in your packet. I've looked over it. I've had additional conversations on it. And I believe that we should, in my opinion, we should be opting into this. It would be a significant blow, I think, to our community and our school if we opted out and had to make some really tough decisions.
Yeah, and it seems as though the fear that the state, this gives the state the right to do some investigation into an incident. If we're doing the things we're supposed to be doing, I don't see a concern there personally. Setting the money aside, it doesn't seem inappropriate to me to allow an investigation.
Any other discussion on the matter? Would you guys be in favor of opting in and giving the team that direction to opt in? Or would you rather go down a different path? Get some additional information, whatever that may be.
Read through the whole document, and I support the opting in of this, for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I agree with Dave. I think, yeah, you open yourself up just like it says, but I think if we have faith and confidence that we're doing everything right,
Agreed.
let them find it, I guess. Let's hope and pray that we never have to go down that road,
Agreed.
obviously.
It shows transparency.
Right.
Yep.
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 And that's money. I think that's, obviously, that, what that money is for is great. We'd come up with it regardless, one way or another, but the fact that we can opt in and have the state pay for it, it's even better.
Ms. Pausch, did I give you the direction you're seeking?
It does, yes. Thank you for the communication on this. I would request that we record in the minutes that this is the direction that the board is giving us, only because there are some legal firms out there that are charging a fee to pass resolutions on this, and I just want to make sure we're being clear on our intentions, but yet also not overreacting. And what I mean is passing a resolution for something that we've never done before. We have multiple categoricals like this. You guys, I've shared the state aids. It's complicated to read, and we've never passed resolutions on that. So I struggle to think that we have to pass that resolution, but I'm happy to do so. If the board wants to, we can come back, even though we'll already approve it and formally pass the resolution. I would reach out to a legal firm and pay, I think, the $150 to get the resolution. But if it's recorded in the minutes speak for the board. I'm comfortable with that unless the board wants something different.
Erica, is that okay that we can just put it in the minutes and notate it there?
We want to do a vote, a board action vote?
Do we need to in order to put it in the minutes, or can we just put it as like a board comments? Would that be okay, Mr. Pouch? All right, fantastic. Thank you, board. Thank you, Mr. Pouch. And our number 5 item on the agenda, the board items for action, the water filtration bid. Mr. Provost, this you?
All right, this is
All right.
me. Yeah, good evening. So this one's a long time coming. So this past spring, we sought out a grant called the Filter First Water Filtration Grant. I'm a firm believer you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So, hey, when there's money out there, let's go for it. So put together an application, and we were awarded $147,287. It's through the state, but it's actually federal funds. So we were awarded this, but took a step back just with this past spring and summer, and then finally had time to dive deep into the weeds to get accurate counts of our waters, what's filtered, what's not. And we had accurate counts then, of which we did a RFP, or a request for proposal. Once again, this is on that Sigma procurement page through the state of Michigan. That went out October 14th. Since we have some nuances of things that had to be demoed and everything, we had a mandatory pre-bid meeting, which we had 3 vendors attend. That was held Monday, August 27th. And then we opened up bids the next Monday. And we had two of the 3 companies that elected to bid on this, DHE Plumbing and Mechanical, as well as Advantage Mechanical Refrigeration. And shockingly enough, they were within a couple $100, and I've never seen anything like that. I don't know if it's because they know how much money we have been awarded, but either way, very close, but we are looking to go with the lower bid. Not only were they lower, but we have used them in the past for other projects. They've done fantastic work. Gary White has used them for other miscellaneous stuff just around the district, and feel very confident that they can do the work. They will be doing the work hopefully as soon as possible after we get resolution. But they are going to have to do it during school hours, so we're going to have a schedule and work with them to make sure that it does not interrupt classrooms, because there is a lot of work to do, mostly in the hallways to get these drinking fountains up to speed. But yeah, so in total, we have 39 filtered faucets. Now, this is every instructional building outside of this one, as we are fully compliant. So this would be, you know, McFall, Lee, Page, middle school, high school. But in total, yeah, 39 filtered faucets. This could be anything from the staff break lounges, the water that comes out of there, nursing areas, special ed, they have their own designated kitchen areas, and then also the kitchens. And then 57 bottle filling stations. That's pretty self-explanatory. A lot of people bring their own water bottle now and fill them up. And then including 7 high-low faucets. So this is essentially one's high, one's low to be ADA accessible. Has the water filtration in the back, or the water bottle filling station, where you can also hit the button to drink, but then also a lower one just to drink out of. And then several things that need a filter from our food service perspective. Our combi ovens, based on how they work, they need the water, make sure it's clean. So yeah, at the end of the day though, all the equipment will meet or exceed the state's requirements for this bid. That was clear in the RFP, and so this, the price that you see will include the demolition, install, and the equipment. The only thing that's not covered would be any electrical, masonry, drywall, or paint, but that should be very negligible in terms of total cost. So the total project cost that you see is $149,495. That exceeds the grant award by $2,208, which we will likely just take from our general fund to pay for that difference in cost. So therefore, looking to approve the action item for DHE, plumbing and mechanical, in the amount of $149,495. Any questions that you have on that?
Have you guys speculated the 400% increase on water bottles being in the lost and found after this?
Probably.
Okay.
It's amazing how many are there. Oh, my goodness.
Just to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, so the state is requiring clean water, whatever, but then they followed up and gave us the grant for the 147, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Are we eligible for future grants for, and I don't even know what the maintenance cost would be on that many water filtration areas, but is that?
Yeah, so one thing that is on the radar is ongoing costs for the actual filters themselves. You know, obviously that's not part of this right now. We have found, if you go directly through Amazon, you can find them a lot cheaper than going directly through a supplier that meet. They have some number of 52, you know, the particles or whatever per whatever. So we're looking into that, but all in all, this is gonna be a requirement in the future. I think, towards the end of 2026, so, there was this grant, they did open it up for a second year of money that was not claimed from last year. So we do have until June 30th of this year to expend this, but yeah, this is the way that districts are heading, regardless if you, get the grant or not.
No, I think it's awesome that we got all this and it's paid for. And it sounds like the maintenance costs or upkeep is minimal.
Yeah, the filters are not gonna be that much, but, you know, it will be time consuming. As you can see, we had, 57 filters on bottle filling, the 39 filtered faucets. Someone's gonna have to go through every 6 months and change those out. I think it's pretty quick once you get it. Think of the filter in your own fridge, it's pop them in, pop them out, so. We'll just have to make sure we have some on hand, and, you know, we have a filtration plan where it's all documented, where we know exactly when the 6 months would be up, and we go and replace them out.
Would that plan be digital, so if we shuffle through different personnel, there's awareness of where we're at in that schedule?
Sorry, can you,
As far as our filtration checklist of when it needs to be done, is it gonna be digital document? So if we go through personnel and a new person, it's,
yeah, Gary currently has set up a Google Doc that I helped him create that has all the different filters, where they're located, so he knows exactly. We'll type it in just so one of his guys can, you know, go through an iPad, and as they, you know, put the new one in, they just document what date it is and then move on to the next one.
just making sure, because Dad had a notepad when he was a maintenance guy.
No, we're a little more high-tech than that nowadays.
Okay.
Fantastic. Any other questions from Mr. Provost?
Yep.
All right, looking for a motion regarding the water filtration bid.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approve the bid from DHE Plumbing and Mechanical in the amount of $149,495 for the completion of the Filter First Water Filtration Grant Project.
Support?
All right, we got a motion by Mr. Winger and support by Mr. Price. Any discussion on the motion? All right, that is a roll call vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Winger,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Brock,
Yes,
and Hess, yes. Motion carries.
thank you. Here's our second opportunity for public input. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Anyone that would like to speak? All right, Mr. Chance. Mr. Pausch, Superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Brock. 4 short things. One, I would first like to start by thanking Mr. Brock and the full board. It's great to see all of you in one view on this side of the table. So thank you to Mr. Brock for being open to the realignment here, and to those in the audience. It's so I can see the full board without having to turn our heads and increase our communication here at the board level. So thank you for being supportive of that. It's great to see you all in one lens. Second thing, to all of our voters out there, thank you for getting out last Tuesday or returning your absentee ballot. It says a lot about our community that, one, our community passed it 50% to 49%, and Kent ISD as a whole passed it. So the next generation of kids will benefit tremendously from this. I can tell you, I've been in 4 other counties, and this is a game changer for our county as far as what it provides our kids and staff. So back roughly 10 years ago, it did not pass in our community, but we still benefited from it because it passed at the county level. It didn't pass. It was 57% no, 42% yes. So that shows great support of our community. So thank you to our voters for getting out and voting on behalf of our kids, staff, and our community on the Kent ISD Enhancement Millage. Also, my third item is congratulations to all of our fall athletes. We, for the most part, are wrapping up the fall season. It has just been our pleasure from the administrative office to get out and see many of the competitions. Also, congratulations to our actors, musicians, and singers, as it's been our privilege as well to visit their performances, and I know we have other performances coming up, but for the most part, many of our groups have performed, and we truly have a great deal of pride from our staff down in our athletics, arts, and academics. So thank you to all the staff for the countless hours that they put in. We just had the play this past weekend, and a lot of work goes in behind the scenes. So thank you to all the volunteers and the athletes, actors, musicians, and singers. And last, tomorrow, November 11th at 10 o'clock, I invite you to attend the Thornapple Kellogg High School Veterans Day Assembly. If you would like to come to that, that takes place tomorrow, 10 o'clock at the high school. So a little shorter report, as many of my items were in the discussion focus today. So subsequent to any questions, that does conclude my superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Pouch. Next item, board comments. Are there any comments the board would like to share? Last chance. All right, next item is adjournment. We are adjourned 7:39.